Good evening, dear devotees, friends. Let us begin with the stotra that we always chant. It is from the Gopi Gita. Tavo kathamritam tapta jivanam kavi virilitam kalmashapaham sravana mangalam srimadatatam bhuvi grinanti e bhurida janaha. Now friends, we were studying from the Gospel of Sri Ramakrishna, the English book, the Gospel, that is from the 6 to 1. Today we will study, we will read. Here we find the same, the day, October 11, 1884, October 11, 1884, Sri Ramakrishna, whatever he said, Master Mahasaya noted that, and he is writing. Now here, he suddenly, at the end of this, today almost we are the end of that account, Master Mahasaya giving a very interesting incident that happened over there. He is writing, suddenly he, that means Sri Ramakrishna, went into Samadhi. The devotees stood around with their eyes fixed on him. So we talk about the Samadhi. Samadhi is so difficult. But for Sri Ramakrishna, it was almost nothing. Any moment he is going into Samadhi and coming down. And that is called that bhava. Those who have read the biography of Bhagavan Sri Ramakrishna, you know the unique incident that happened. The Sri Ramakrishna got a message. So when he was thinking that his purpose of the body is done, complete, because he realized the Brahman, he realized the God, and what he is going to do with this body. When he was thinking and sitting on a floor, which is still there in Dakshineshwar, and where the masters used to come, the owners of the Dakshineshwar used to come, the landlords, it's the name of the particular building called Kuti Badi. And there, in a room where Sri Ramakrishna used to stay, he was sitting on the floor and thinking what to do. Suddenly, a smoke came out from that floor. And he saw a face of a rishi. How could he know the rishi? Because the long beard, long matted hair, and the rishi was telling him, you should stay in Bhava-mukha, Bhava-mukha, Bhava-mukha. 3 times he repeated. It is recorded in the great master, the authentic biography of Bhagavan Sri Ramakrishna. And after that, Sri Ramakrishna remained in that way for the benefit of the humanity. It is the God that manifests in the human form to guide those human who somehow through their karma phala has developed little more sattva gunas, good qualities. The God is for them. He guides them and He is directing them. But we have seen there are many who came, but not like Sri Ramakrishna. The Sri Ramakrishna, almost any moment he was passing into that unique realm of spirituality, and then the next moment he is coming down and then talking with the ordinary people in the ordinary way. This is almost like that type of moment that Master Mahasaya is recording. He went into Samadhi. The devotees stood around with their eyes fixed on him. It's not secretly or in a secluded place or not before eyes of anyone, not like that. just he was standing, suddenly he went to that samadhi. Samadhi means cross that into the spiritual realm. The master's left foot was advanced a little. Really, it is appreciating how the Master Mahasaya, at that very moment, he was looking at the body, how he was standing, and every little details he recorded. He remembered, and then he recorded it. The master's left foot was advanced a little. The shoulder was slightly inclined to one side. His arm rested on Baburam's neck near the ear. After a while, he came down from the static state. As he stood there, he put one hand to his cheek and appeared to be brooding over something. Then, smiling, he addressed the devotees. Master, I saw everything, how far the devotees had advanced. I saw Rakhal, him, pointing to the Master Mahasaya, Surendra, Baburam, and many others. What he saw, we will read from here, he saw the inner growth of spirituality. Can you say that ordinary people can do that? Any ordinary person can do it? It's impossible. It's only that supreme power that manifested through him. And at ease he is giving the record. Why he is telling this? That inspires us. If a person is listening, the directions, instructions, the guidances of Bhagavan Sri Ramakrishna, and practicing, developing a spiritual life in that way, he will also develop these qualities and he will also advance. He is telling that I have seen this. Hajra was there. Hajra, as because Sri Ramakrishna didn't mention his name, naturally, why Hajra? Any one of us would have asked that. Hajra said, me? Have you not seen me? Then the master said, yes. Hajra, many more obstacles? Master, no. Then Hajra immediately comparing with Narendra. What about Narendra? Narendra afterwards Swami Vivekananda. Master, I didn't see him. So this is a very important statement. I didn't see him. He saw so many, including Rakhal Maharaj, who became afterwards the first president of the order. We say first president, but Swami Vivekananda for a few days and then he gave it to. So this is the first president of the order, and he was a highly exalted, the spiritual giant we can say, and he was young that time. About him, he is telling, I didn't see him. What about Narendra? I didn't see him, but I can tell about him. He is a little entangled. Why he said like that, that he was entangled? Because that is the time that Narendranath and their family was in great trouble. Perhaps it is the 84, the account of the 84. After that, his father passed away and they will be in trouble. All Sri Ramakrishna saw. But he didn't disclose what is going to happen about him. And in the first time when Narendranath came, the young man of 17, 18 years old, they entered into his room. Those who have read that biography, you can imagine, Sri Ramakrishna stood up to welcome him. And he said, how can a Swatik, as a pure Swatik, can be in the city of Calcutta? And in the city, all people, they are so eager to enjoy all these sense objects. As a pure boy, no touch, no connections with this. His mind was full of purity. So Sri Ramakrishna appreciated. Sri Ramakrishna said about him that he is one of the Sapta Rishis. So we can understand. But here he said, I didn't see him, but I can tell he is in little entanglement. But I saw that everyone will succeed. That is the word of hope, Everyone will succeed. And to him, he turned to the Master Mahashaya, I saw that all are in hiding. He is mentioning about the Master Mahashaya, your power, spiritual success, all are there, ready, hiding. It will manifest. The devotees listened to these words with great wonder. It seemed to them that they were hearing an oracle. Master, but I got into that mood by touching Baburam. He wanted to give the credit to Baburam. Baburam, that young boy, afterwards Swami Premananda, Sri Ramakrishna used to say that he was the incarnation of the Radha. Even his bones were so pure. Just to stress that he was a pure soul, he said like that. And he was the incarnation of Radha. Radha is a symbol of purity and love and dedication and devotion. So Baburam Maharaj was like that. Sri Ramakrishna could see everything. So he picked up like this. And from there he is telling. And the devotees listened to him. Hajra, who is fast? Now, Hajra is very interesting personality. All this that Sri Ramakrishna said, that everyone is going to be successful in spiritual life, but the Hajra said, who is fast of all? Sri Ramakrishna was quiet for a time. He didn't give the reply that way. It's not fast or second. All are going to be successful means all are going to manifest the spirituality and going to realize God and going to understand what is the truth. That is the thing. So who is reaching over there fast and who is the second, it is of no use. Everybody will be successful if they follow the teachings of Bhagavan Sri Ramakrishna. That is the idea. Sri Ramakrishna, after listening to Hajra, he was quiet for some time. Then he said, I wish I had a few like Nitya Gopal. Nitya Gopal, another young boy, but he couldn't become the monk, but he was a very advanced soul. So Sri Ramakrishna is telling, I wish that I could get some like him. Again he appeared thoughtful. He remained standing. He said, I wish Adharshen's duties would become fewer. He used to love Adharshen. Adharshen was a very educated person and he was holding a big post over there at that time when India was ruled by the British, and Adharshen was the magistrate at that time. So obviously his duties were much more, and British were very intelligent. They used to keep the Indians to rule the Indians. So we can say the front desk was all Indians, and the British used to rule from the back. So the Indians used to think, oh, these people sitting over here and creating problem for me. So they used to be angry against the Indians. So they developed in that way. So Adarshan was one of the magistrates. He is in the administration, and their responsibilities was too much. Master Sri Ramakrishna, he liked Adhar because he was having a very pure heart, very simple person. But because of his duty, it was impossible for him to practice the spirituality in a very deeper way. So he was thinking, oh, if his workload was little less, but I am afraid the English officer will scold him. He may say, what is all this nonsense? Because if he is meditating, taking the name of God, or practicing austerities, spiritual austerities, the master may not be British. The master may not be happy. Then all smiled. Sri Ramakrishna sat on the small couch and the devotees on the floor. Baburam and Kishori came quickly to the master and began to stroke his feet gently. Master to Kishori. He knew Baburam, but Kishori today suddenly came to serve the master. Why? Because if he does that, he will also get the liberation, God realization, like that. So Sri Ramakrishna jokingly, what is the matter? Why so much service today? The other days you don't do, today only why you are doing? So I was a brahmachari at that time, a young monk. I just was initiated into sannyasa. I went to Jairambati, the birthplace of Ma Sharadamani Devi, many of you know. And there was the sannyasi, very senior monk. He was the disciple of Mother, and he was loved by Mother. When he was very young, he used to come to Mother. There's so many stories are there. It was the time of lunch, so from the guest house I came out and I saw the Swami. He was a very good lover of the roses. He used to grow the roses and so many varieties of flowers. He had that wonderful capacity. He was doing something. The lunch time was another 2-3 minutes was there still. So he was doing something in the rose garden. It was a scorching sun. So I went and there was an umbrella. I took that umbrella and was holding on his head. Having that shade, he turned and looked at me and said, who is going to do it tomorrow? Why you are doing it today? So like that, the servicing, suddenly you are doing the why. Then of course I told this. So this is the way it was. Master Sri Ramakrishna is also telling the Kishori, what's the matter? Ramlal entered the room and saluted Sri Ramakrishna, touching the ground with his forehead. This is the way one is supposed to show the respect to the holy people, touching the forehead on the floor. Then with great respect he touched the master's feet. He was ready to worship the Divine Mother in the temple. See, Ramlal, though he was a priest, he was related to Sri Ramakrishna, but he had great respect for Sri Ramakrishna. So when he is going to worship the goddess Kali in the shrine, in the temple of Dakshineshwar, he came and he took the blessings of Sri Ramakrishna. Master Ramlal, he is telling, please permit me to go to the shrine. The master twice uttered the words, Om Kali, Om Kali. Perform the worship carefully. He said that. So when we are performing the puja, we invite the god and goddess. And sometimes some people, they don't believe in that. That is a different thing. Those who are worshipping, that means they must be believing that God is coming. And what I am doing, yaha gaccha, yahatishta, yasannidehi. So I invite that God and the divine personality as if he or she is coming and taking the seat before me and taking my offerings. So one must be very, very careful. And you should feel the whole environment is changing. When I am calling the God and he is coming out from my own heart and then he is sitting before me, ready to take the puja, the worship that I am going to offer, the one must transform. And that is the joy of puja. And sometimes when the people, without knowing this or without practicing this, perform puja, after some time it becomes just another boring time. Going on uttering the mantra and not understanding the meaning, there is no feeling, just going mechanically. No. That's why Sri Ramakrishna said, seriously you should do it. And it happens. If it doesn't happen, then why you are doing the worship? If you don't have the faith, you are not supposed to do that. When you are doing it, those who are doing it, you need not to see whether others believe it or not. It doesn't matter. It is my faith. So when I am performing that, I should feel like this. When we are crossing through the shrine or entering into the shrine, one must feel that Supreme God sitting over there. You cannot just go without paying respect to Him. You must be always careful without making any sound. One should do that respect. So the presence of God, it is in your mind. And you should think that Ramakrishna's blessing is this: be careful to worship. The several devotees remained in the temple till 2 o'clock in the morning. The puja was going on, and slowly everyone left. Now friends, today I gave a topic like this: the goal is God, not His powers. And when we were reading, the Sri Ramakrishna could see and tell that what is going to happen to those people. We never see this in the life of Ma Sharadamani Devi. Very few. She was hiding all these things. It was not necessary. But she assured, Sri Ramakrishna of course assured, she assured, don't worry at all, my children. The Thakur is there, Sri Ramakrishna is there, I am there, your mother. And if you have dedicated your life, your thought, your actions, for us, we are responsible. And we will surely come. That is the faith, that is the belief. We are not going to be lost. The Sri Ramakrishna, the God Supreme, will come. And Swami Ishatmananda ji, he used to teach, you must every day pray to God. The last day when I am departing from this world, oh God, you should not forget me. You should not, because at that time I may forget. I do not know in what condition I am going to die. But you should not forget me. Go on reminding Him, pray to Him. That very moment, you must come and hold my hand and take me to your realm. So that is the spirituality. It is the complete faith and dedication. The God is there. I am dedicating myself to Him. And what is this myself? My ego? What is this ego? So obviously, I belong to Him. Friends, don't mix it up with the Advaitic point of view. It's the Dvaitic point of view we are explaining. From the completely Advaita point of view, this is different. But the Dvaita, God is there. Sri Ramakrishna is there. Ma Sharada is there. Swami Vivekananda is there. Goddess Kali is there. Durga is there. Whomever I love, I must dedicate myself. And if one can do it in his spiritual practices, he is going to get different type of, he or she will get different type of spiritual powers. Those who are following my classes, the Bhagavatam, I think few weeks before, I usually give the Bhagavata on every Sunday, and few weeks before, it is in the YouTube, must be there, the powers of the yogi that they get, supernatural power. I will quote from the Bhagavata here also. In the book, the Skanda 11 and the chapter 15, verse 1, in the Bhagavata it clearly says, Jitendriyasya yuktasya jitashvasasya yoginaha mai dharayata cheta upatishtanti siddhayaha. Siddhaya means, they usually in Sanskrit say, the siddhilabh, siddhaya. This is the power, supernatural power. A yogi, when becomes successful to control his senses, by focusing his mind at the Supreme Lord, gets various supernatural powers. There's a Bhagavata, it says over here. Why I am telling Bhagavata? It's a scripture. And in the scripture, always the truth is there. Bhagavan Sri Krishna, he mentioned these. It cannot be just a few words telling like that. It is truth. And so many references are there. So many people, they really achieve that. Here it says like this. The yogi, that means the one who is practicing the concentration, when he can become completely successful to control his senses, he acquires this power. How many supernatural powers are there? It says, Siddhayo Ashtadasha Prokta. In the Bhagavata again, I think third verse of the same chapter. Siddhayo Ashtadasha. That means all this supernatural power are 18 in numbers. There are 18. What are those? It says, out of 18 powers, 10 powers God directly give. It is in the capacity of the God that He will give. And these 10 powers, we are very, 8 powers, they are very, very powerful. We know it. So, of the 18, 8 powers God is giving, 10 powers automatically coming to the yogis. What are the 8 powers? Anima, Mahima, Laghima, Prapti, Prakamya, Ishitva, Bashitva, Kama Basaita. Anima, the power to become small. Mahima, the power to become big. Laghima, the power to become light. Prapti, power to attain any object. Prakamya, power to enjoy any object. Ishitva, the power to control anything. Bashitva, power to control the self. Kama Basaita, power to satisfy any desire. So these are the famous 8 powers. And the other 10 powers that comes to the yogi, they develop those powers in the process of their spiritual practices. Anumarmimatvat, Duradarshana, Manojaba, Kama Rupam, Parakaya Pravesham, Satchanda Mrittu, Devanam Sahakriya, Yatha Sankalpa Siddhi, and Duradarshanam. If you read our Swami Vivekananda's Raja Yoga, he explained all those over there. All these powers are there. The yoga became very popular when Swamiji talked about this, and people thought if we practice, we'll be able to see things from the far distances. Dura Sravana and Dura Darshanam. Now I don't think it is not necessary to practice the spirituality for that. Why? Because the mobile phone is there all the time. You can talk. You can listen to any in the whole world from any place. Or you can see also if you are having those machines. It is becoming so easy. Of course, some are there like the body, physically you are transported like the mind. If that capacity is there, some people, they can have like this and that. So other 10 capacities. If you are interested, you can read the Swami Vivekananda's Raja Yoga. I have also spoken about this, discussed about this in my talk in the Bhagavata, that is in the YouTube again. And some of the others are there, the 5 powers, they say, automatically it comes. When one is practicing, it comes automatically. The one is Trikalajnatvam, that is knowing the past, present and future. And in the list they say this is byproduct. When one is practicing the austerity, and if he can truly control the senses, it automatically comes. The Trikalajnat, the past, present and future. that there's a Swami. I met him, but he became very old. He was the vice president of our Ramakrishna mission, Ramakrishna order, and he is very famous as Shujji Maharaj. His the pre-monastic name was the Surya, the Shujji, the people used to call him, and because he was the direct disciple of the Swami Brahmananda ji, and this he served him, and people say that Brahmananda ji Maharaj told that I will give you Brahma Jnana. Ultimately, he truly became like that. He used to say very casually, one day one of his the Swamis, sometimes young Swamis or the Brahmacharis, they'll be there to take care of the old Swami, to serve him. So one day he called, we call it Shebak. The Shebak was there, the monastic one who was attending the Swami. He called him and said, you see that Swami going over there? After the lunch, all the Swamis, they will go in different groups. He showed to one, see, he is a very good monk. He is going to be a great monk in future. I am not naming now, but truly he became afterwards, he also became the president of the order. At that time, that Swami from his room, he was showing it, that it is possible. They can understand the past, present and future. So this is the way. There are so many stories are there of our Swamis. And it is so easy as if to achieve. Not that that is not there. Many of the Swamis they are having, but they never want to use this power. Why? And that is the thing. That is why the goal is God, not his powers. Anyone going to utilize these or get these and practicing the whole spiritual practices in his life only to achieve this power will end up in having these powers and not God. So that is not the ultimate thing. The Bhagavan Sri Ramakrishna never liked it. Ma Sharada Muni and Swami Vivekananda and others never ever. So among the Ramakrishna mission Swamis, there are people are there, but they will never ever say that or utilize it, and never. Why? The goal is the God, not his power. The power comes from God and it belongs to the worldly things where desire is there. But I don't have any desire. I don't want this world. So why should I have the power, and what I am going to do with that power? It is not necessary. The people will start coming, and then what is going to happen to me in the future? What is this? What is that? I am not nobody to do that. And my spiritual life is not for that. Why should I do that? But this is the last hurdle, in the spiritual life. When the power comes, the people cannot control it. Then naturally they start showing and they start saying that they are special. There are other Swamis were also there who had that power, but because the naturalists, the political people, the kings, the rulers, they will immediately cut hold of them and then tell me what is the future, and by that way they lose all those things and they don't achieve anything. So that is why Bhagavan Sri Ramakrishna again and again said, one should not go for these powers. Friends, though we got this, we saw that Sri Ramakrishna could see, as he mentioned, I can read, I can see the minds of the people as if it is there in the glass cases. And the things that we can see, kept in the glass cases, we can see through the glasses. Like that he could read, he could see the mind of the people, their past, present and future. Let that be with him. But for us, it is a him. We don't want anything. Friends, we will go to the next chapter, chapter 32. Before that, I like to remember the wonderful example the Bhagavan Sri Ramakrishna gave to remind us, to make us remember we need only God, not His power. And in his beautiful way, he told one person, he was making all the clothes in whatever color people wanted them to. So the people went with the cloth and said, make this color red. So he dipped in a bucket and said, this is your red cloth. The same bucket, another person told, I want it black, I want it white, so many, all the 7 colors. He was only dipping into that and taking it out. Another person was there for a long time observing all this. When everything was over, all left, then the person who was doing it turned to the man and said, hey, you are here for a long time. Do you need something? You are not asking anything. Here is the moral of the story, that man told, I want you. I don't want those things. And he is the most clever person. If you want all those things, all those powers, and we must get that person who is having that. So God is having all these 18 powers. And if we realize God, and if we want, He will give us all those 18 powers. But we don't want that. So that is the moral of the story. We don't want the miracles that is happening, but the God who is love, who is unselfish, and who is all pervading. Friends, let us start another chapter today. Time is there. Visit to the Sithi Brahma Samaj. The Brahma Samaj, you know about the Brahmas. There was a movement, spiritual movement, religious movement. They wanted to save the Hindus because in great numbers Hindus were converted into Christianity at that time. And the main objection was against the Hinduism, that image worships. Why you are worshipping the images? Can God, who is all pervading, so big, enter into the images? In that time, the so-called spiritual leaders couldn't reply to that. They could not give the convincing reply. So naturally, people got confused, and the education in the hands of those people who were teaching in this way and converting. So through education also, they were changing the temperament, mentality, thoughts, and the tradition. From there, breaking the tradition of the Hindus, and they were converting them. There were many big people, they were also getting converted. So a group of people, they become very rigid, and they wanted to keep the Hinduism, so they closed all their doors and windows, no conversation, nothing like that. We are not going to visit you, you should not also enter into our temples. Like that way, a very rigid Hinduism also started. Obviously, they wanted to protect the faiths, so they behaved like that. Another group, they understood that we cannot remain like that, closing all our doors and windows. Rather, they make an in-between path, that we are not going to worship the God in image, rather we will worship in the theories. That is the Veda. We will follow Veda, we will chant Veda. We will remain Hindu, but not the Hindu as such. When they started like this, majority of the then educated people, they started becoming members of that group, and they became very famous as a Brahma Samaj. It started with Ram Mohan Rai, they say, but afterwards the shape changed, the movement changed. The Ram Mohan Rai started, then the father of the Rabindranath Tagore, they also continued. They were influential family, rich people, so they continued. And others also started joining because it became a social status. Educated people, they should go into that. And that was the situation. Sri Ramakrishna, in that scenario, he was from a village But he very boldly started worshipping the Kali, and the main objection was goddess Kali. But Sri Ramakrishna started worshipping goddess Kali very near to Calcutta, on the other bank of the Ganga in the Dakshineshwar. And not only that, he started visiting the Calcutta people also. And Sri Ramakrishna started visiting these groups also. Why? They were good people, educated people. They wanted to practice spirituality. But you know what? Whenever you want to start something, if you don't have the spirituality in that, you become narrow. Why? You are afraid. I am going to lose my followers. I am going to lose my the friends. So they started, you should not marry with the Orthodox Hindus, you should not do this, you should not. So should not, a big list of should not. Always it comes. That is the sign of weakness. Any religion, whenever they say, don't mix with others, don't go to others, don't take their offered food, that means they are weak. They think if they do it, they will be immediately going. So if I am strong, if my philosophy is strong, why should I behave like that? That is exactly what Sri Ramakrishna slowly was introducing, and he was reforming the traditional Hinduism in a very wonderful way. So he is visiting a Samaj. Samaj means a group of people, and they were celebrating. It was October 19, 1884. On this day, Sri Ramakrishna again visited Siddhi Brahmo Samaj. When Master Moshe mentioned the again, that means before also he went. It was the occasion of the autumn festival of the Samaj, which was being celebrated at Beni Madhav Pal's garden house. The Beni Madhav Pal was a rich man, and in those days, and now also, the rich men are having many properties. Their main building will be in the city, and their garden house will be in the little outskirts. So in the outskirts, all people, it's a big place, so all they went over there. Sri Ramakrishna also went. The hall was decorated with flowers and greens, flags and festoons and various colors. Outside, the blue autumn sky with its fleecy clouds was reflected in the water of the lake. So almost every garden house will be having a big water body. So Master Mahasaya, as he was very particular, so he observed everything and he recorded that. So we can see as if the movie, if you close your eyes and go with these words, you can transport yourself in that time. You can see the reflection of the sky on that the water of the pond, and also the people, colored flags. All this decoration was there because it was a celebration. Sri Ramakrishna arrived at 4:30 in the afternoon. Entering the hall, he bowed down before the altar. And mostly they used to keep a lamp and they used to read the Upanishads. So Sri Ramakrishna went and bowed down before the altar. This is the beauty as a real spiritual people. Wherever there is a holy thing, it may be a Christian cross, it may be there's something else, but that's a holy thing. And thousands of millions of people, they are respecting that, believing that is the symbol of God. So I can always respect that. What is the harm? But the majority of the people will say, no, that is not my thing. What is my thing? God manifests in everything. So this is the difference, friends. We have to understand this much. Swami Vivekananda ji has composed a beautiful poem in Sanskrit. If you read that, the Sampradaya Barjitam. The Sampradaya, When the people become narrow-minded, that's called sampradaya, and this is only my philosophy, and I am not going to accept anything else. What Swami Vivekananda, when he came to Chicago, and the first lecture, if you read, is a very famous lecture, the 11th September 1892, when he delivered that lecture, what he said, the story of the frog in the well. That means the narrowness. So that narrowness should not be there. When we are reading the Gospel of Sri Ramakrishna, we sometimes miss these points. The Sri Ramakrishna, he is the embodiment of all paths and faiths. So he went over there, he bowed down before that, and the Brahma devotees, among whom could be noticed Bijay and Trailokya. This Bijay, afterwards he left that particular path of the Brahmas and he became a Vaishnava, because traditionally they were Vaishnavas, and Sri Ramakrishna also noticed that and told, so your thought, it flows to the devotion, and if you try to practice this Brahma Samaj, which is a mixture of devotion and knowledge and not very clear, you won't be able to develop in spirituality. So follow your own the tendency, that will be good. The Bijay and Trailokya, they were the leaders of the Brahma Samaj. Sat around him a sub-judge who was a member of the Brahma Samaj was with them. Look at it, a sub-judge. In those days, judge means only British could be a judge. And then Indians could be the sub-judges, maybe in the villages or in the district and in the small court. So they were sub-judges, Indians. But that was a great post. In those days, very respected post. And as because he was educated, he was also a member of the Brahma Samaj. Trailokya was entertaining the devotees with his melodious music. Master to Trailokya, that song of yours, O mother, make me mad with thy love, I enjoy very much. Won't you sing it? Then Trailokya sang that song again. The Sri Ramakrishna is a great master. And how he is guiding the people. He is asking Trailokya to sing the song of Mother Kali. And what is the meaning of that? Let me forget this whole world, this name, fame, property, wealth, everything. Let me completely dedicate myself for the realization of the divinity, divine. And that is, O mother, make me mad. Mad means the mad, a person, the lunatic, they will be only thinking, brooding over one thought again and again. So they go on brooding on that, so they forget other things also, where they are sitting, they are all around people. Similarly, a spiritual person should also put their mind and soul to that spirituality, the consciousness, forgetting everything, including his body. So the word mad goes very well with this expression. Trailokya was singing. As he listened to the song, Master's mind underwent a transformation. And presently he went into deep samadhi. Friends, if you read the Gospel of Sri Ramakrishna, almost every alternate page you will find he goes into samadhi. From these we can understand how he was and who he was. And that is the reason when someone asked Swami Vivekananda, his beloved disciple, who understood Sri Ramakrishna the best, when they asked him to write a biography on him, he said, "Are you mad? It is not possible." So Sri Ramakrishna was the God Supreme. He was having so many varieties in the way of expressions. Who is going to fathom that? So whatever is there, sometimes some devotees, they will be asking, the Sri Ramakrishna said that after 100 years of the Sri Ramakrishna life, again he will come and take the human body. Has he come? 100 years have passed. Have you seen? Are you looking after that? What Sri Ramakrishna has given, it will continue for 1500 years. His ideas and ideologies are so strong, so beautiful, and so apt for the present age. It will continue, as Swami Vivekananda said, for 1500 years. That means for a long, long time, the strong current will go. Now, after the Jesus, it is 2000 years. After the Buddha, it is 2500 years. Like that, you have to give time. It is the idea, it is the philosophy, it is a transformation of the human mind with the ideas. So we don't want another Sri Ramakrishna like that. If he has come, God, it is his God will, anywhere, anytime, in any form he can manifest. But we have God, Sri Ramakrishna, his life, his ideologies, we are satisfied. And we should try to imbibe all those things, because lifespan is very short. We do not know what is going to happen when, to whom, where. So we must concentrate our mind and as maximum as possible. Coming down a little to the plane of the saints' world, he gave instruction to the devotees. So why his mind so high? Went into samadhi? Just the thought, O Mother, made me mad in thy love. This line only. And that is igniting. This is the spatial, the thought waves. What is spirituality? Remaining into that, the moment there is any opportunity, immediately it goes into that thought. And it can, like a flashback, it goes to that ultimate, which is consciousness. And it is so joyful. So we don't like to come back. Without experiencing that at least a little in this life, what is the worth of spiritual life then? So this Sri Ramakrishna, again and again showing, his mind was still charged with the divine experience. His words were spoken as if in a state of intoxication. Gradually he became again fully conscious of the world. Master, O Mother, I don't want the bliss of divine inebriation. I shall eat siddhi. In a very the different way he is telling. I shall eat, that means I like to enjoy. Don't take my mind. So Sri Ramakrishna, he is begging to the Divine Mother to allow him to mix with the people. And we are begging to the Divine Mother to collect our mind from scattered on all objects and to make it concentrated and to take it to her. To the devotees, by siddhi I mean the attainment of the spiritual goal and not one of the 8 occult powers. This is very important. Today the goal is God, not his powers. So Sri Ramakrishna is telling, by siddhi I meant the God, not the occult powers, the supernatural powers. As in the today's discussion in the beginning, I just read from the Bhagavata and gave the names of all those powers. That's just for the knowledge. But here he says this is very, very important, and after this we will conclude. By siddhi, I mean a siddhi, one type of thing that if you drink or take, you become intoxicated. The majority of the people, sometimes those who are working very hard, the physical labor, the poor people, they sometimes take this. And if you take with the milk and then you forget the physical pain. And in the olden days, the doctors used to use it to relieve the pain some people are suffering. So that is very famous. And Siddhi at the same time success. If you translate the Sanskrit word Siddhi, it is success. The Sri Ramakrishna, that's why he is explaining very clearly, by Siddhi I mean the attainment of the spiritual goal and not one of the 8 occult powers. He didn't mention 18 occult powers. He mentioned 8 occult powers. Why? Because the 8 are given by God and they are very important. About the occult powers, Sri Krishna said to Arjuna, friend, if you find anyone who has acquired even one of the 8 powers, then know for certain he will not realize me, M capital, me, this God. For powers surely beget pride. That is the main reason. Spirituality means you have to go beyond your ego. And after practicing spirituality, when you get the occult powers, the supernatural powers, you go back to ego. That is the reason those who are very sincere to realize God should not go for the occult power. But some people, those who want to get the name, fame, they may try. That is their own thing. But those who are really a good devotee should not go for that. The powers surely beget pride, and God cannot be realized if there is the slightest trace of pride. Thank you, friends. Today up to this, and in the next Wednesday we will again read. Any question?
One question Maharaj unable to hear. Srima Biswas, Srima Biswas is saying, is fasting necessary before worship?
Srima, you are asking, is fasting necessary before worship? You know why? Sometimes you can eat and do, or some people, because of the physical problem, they must have to eat something. But if you eat full stomach, then you may feel drowsy, concentration may not be possible. That's why they say, better if your body is fit, if your body can permit, you can to worship without any food. But if not, don't hesitate to take some food. Some light food you can take, and then you can sit, so it will be good. There is no problem. A group of ladies came to Sri Ramakrishna, and as natural, if you are going to a holy person and to temple, you are supposed to fast. And they came from Calcutta, mostly walking, so they get tired. When they entered into Sri Ramakrishna's room, they were sitting to listen to Sri Ramakrishna's talk, but Sri Ramakrishna noticed that many of them are drowsing. So naturally, Sri Ramakrishna asked, are you fasting? They said, yes, sir. Don't do that, Sri Ramakrishna said. When you are coming to me, you must come with a fresh mind, and so that whatever I am telling, you can listen, you can understand. So this is Sri Ramakrishna. But traditionally, it is better to fast before worship, and that makes the body good. Sometimes in Durga Puja, they will be fasting for the whole day. The food will be only in the evening, like that, and that also very simple food. The controlling the senses and without food, that is the traditional way they always do. So if your body is not that fit, you can eat. But if your body can permit, don't eat. Thank you. Let us conclude with this mantra. Niranjanam nityam anantarupam bhaktanukampa Dhrita Vigraham Vai Ishavataram Parameshamidyam Tam Ramakrishnam Shirasa Namama. Om Shanti 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 Harihi Om Tat Sat. Sri Ramakrishna Arpanamastu. Peace, peace, peace unto all.